What if you could grow your Amazon KDP business 10 times faster than most people? I believe you have a lot of unlocked potential within you, and in this video, I want to share one key that helped unlock some of mine. This key allowed me to make millions of dollars from Amazon KDP before the age of 30. But I warn you, once you take it and you use it to unlock your potential, going back to the old ways will be very hard. This video is not about productivity hacks like planning your day, removing distractions, or time blocking. Those are all useful, but today I want to go deeper, beyond the tools and habits to the engine behind it all. To exemplify this engine, let's look at the Navy SEALs. When they're in the military, they're surrounded by brothers who push them to be the absolute best, physically and mentally. Their identity as elite warriors is reinforced by the people around them, the shared mission, and the extreme standards. But when they return to civilian life, some of them struggle because that environment is gone, and with it, their identity feels different. Camaraderie, the brotherhood, is no longer there to fuel that engine. Who you believe you are determines how you act, what standards you hold for yourself, and the results you create. So how do you shift your identity to match your goals with Amazon KDP? Let's go over some ways. First, when you're surrounded by people who have achieved what you're aiming for, it shifts your perspective. Suddenly, your goals seem more attainable because the conversations, mindset, and standards are at a higher level. This environment forces you to grow and mirror the behaviors of those pushing boundaries and dreaming big. Success rubs off. You can't help but to level up when you're in a space where high standards are the norm. Now, what about your actions? Your actions stem directly from the beliefs you have about yourself. If you see yourself as a high achiever, you'll naturally adjust your routine. You'll cut activities that don't align with your goals and focus on habits that push you towards excellence. Your daily actions reflect who you believe you are. If you identify as someone who produces high quality work, your habits will follow. Finally, the way you view yourself determines how you approach everything. If you think small, you act small. But as you shift your internal narrative to see yourself as capable of more, your decisions and actions will match that higher vision. Old limitations lose their power because now you're operating at a higher level, making it impossible to settle for less. One thing that has always helped me to drive forward is thinking about the fact that there are people who are not smarter than you or I, but who have somehow managed to make more money than us. How is that possible if they were born with the same access to resources as us? It's most likely because they know something that we don't. Let me tell you about a recent experience I went through that increased my drive to improve and to stay focused. I was working on a script and I hired a professional to review it. I was expecting at least something positive about my work, but he just laid it on me from the first minute. He talked like he was the most critical consumer of my creation ever. It hurt my ego, to say the least. I felt like one of those singers who sign up for a talent show thinking that they are the best until the reality of judgment smacks them in the face. But since I'm aware that the ego is the enemy, like Ryan Holiday says, I took everything he said to heart. I revised my work, and while it was better, I still got a lot of criticism from him. He opened my eyes to things I hadn't seen before, and his critical voice is now playing in my mind as I'm creating any future work. So something I would tell myself earlier is to look for this kind of discomfort. There's usually a direct correlation between your level of discomfort and how much you will progress. Think of it like this. To grow a muscle, you must make it uncomfortable. You go beyond the current limit to give it a reason to grow. I did the exact same thing with my Amazon ads recently. I hired someone who had generated millions of dollars worth of sales using Amazon ads, and I had him criticize my current way of running them. Was it fun to hear that I potentially lost millions of dollars or potentially more in lost sales and expenses? No, it was not. So if you think you need to be perfect to generate millions of dollars from Amazon KDP, then think of me, because I'm certainly not perfect. But I am willing to sit in discomfort, because I know that my main value is not what I have or even in what I achieve, but rather in who I become. Become a millionaire, not for the $1 million, but for what it will make of you to achieve it. That's a quote by Jim Rohn. To become a millionaire from scratch, you will be forced to develop certain qualities within yourself, unless you're getting there by some pump and dump crypto coin or something like that. And believe it or not, it's not just about the qualities or skills such as self-discipline, being able to focus, thinking long-term, or facing discomfort. Imagine what will happen when you've worked with almost 1,000 people. You will start to see patterns in human behavior. You realize that there are these commonalities that occur which has nothing to do with you at all. You might think that someone not finishing their work on time or in a sloppy way is a sign that they're not respecting you. But what you will learn is that it's less about you and more about the other person. I bet you that you'll find many instances when this person has done a similar thing in other situations. So instead of beating yourself up, you realize that there's nothing you can say or do to change this person's behavior. Rather, you need to wait until that person has an identity shift in themselves. We don't have patience to wait around for that, so that is for another publisher or client to experience. In essence, you learn to shift from having expectations of people to having standards. If you expect certain behaviors or results from another person, you're giving the other person control. Instead, you want to have standards. If they can't meet them, you have to let go of giving them work. But it's not just about letting go of other people, it's also about letting go in other arenas. For example, right now, I'm in a season where I work 12 hours a day in order to maintain my publishing business while working on this new thing that I'm building. I get up at 4 a.m. every morning now, and my days are filled with going from one task to another. And I've been in this mode for over 2 months now. Despite this, there are still days where I simply cannot complete all the to-dos. In cases like this, I let go and accept that I've done my part and that it's simply not possible to finish all the tasks without wrecking my routine. This is a time of growth, which means that there will be chaos around me. For example, smaller tasks will be put to the side, and not everything in my surroundings will be perfectly in order while I'm in this phase. And that's okay. You'll also learn to divorce your actions from your results. For example, imagine working on something for hundreds of hours and not seeing any tangible results. Imagine investing tens of thousands of dollars into something without any guarantee that it will ever pay you back. The only thing you have is a strong belief that it will work, but there's no guarantee. This is the story I'm going through now, and it's been the story for the last decade. There are no guarantees, and that's what makes entrepreneurship something not everyone is willing to do. But as the saying goes, entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. So it's all like it's supposed to be. And this type of acceptance is what you will develop in your journey to becoming a millionaire. Now, there might be something else that will happen to you on this journey, and this is something that can be quite hard. In your journey, you might realize that you no longer can relate to most other people in the same way. When someone talks about how they're excited about the weekend because they don't need to work and they get to go out and get drunk, it won't resonate with you. How can that be the ultimate dream? It's not likely you'll be surrounded by people who are on your frequency as you go out, people who are chasing a larger vision. Most likely, many are there to escape their reality. Now I get it. Some of them are there to have a good time or get a relief from life stresses. But what if we can get to a point where chasing our dreams becomes the good time and we don't need a relief at all? This is what will allow us to work 12 hours a day on our Amazon KDP business. When we fear that the highlight of our lives will be getting drunk on the weekends, being surrounded by people we can't really resonate with nor want to be like. One of the biggest challenges I've faced in my journey to 7 figures with self-publishing is dealing with loneliness. Sure, there have been communities I could have joined, but I couldn't find anyone who had the results I was striving for. If only there would have been someone who already walked the path I was on to help me better see my blind spots, traps, or efficient ways forward. Or perhaps even a group of people who have walked the path or are walking the path alongside me. That's what I was missing. What if I could also potentially meet these people in real life and connect with them? How less lonely would my journey have been then? I never told anyone my goals, but imagine if I did. I want to build a 7-figure publishing business. They probably would have laughed at me, if not outwardly, at least internally. Their own limiting beliefs would have been all over the response to me. Now imagine my 22-year-old self saying to my 30-year-old self, I want to become a millionaire with self-publishing. Now, I will question him. For example, are you willing to listen and learn? Do you understand what might be required? But do you think I'd laugh? No, because I know it's possible because I've walked the path. So all these videos and everything I'm doing is simply solving problems or answering questions that my previous self had. Sometimes it's as far back as a decade, but other times it's just a couple of months or even weeks back. If anything in this video resonated with you, then I invite you to check out what I've been working on. Is the first link in the description.